right off the top of my head. I'm not positive of that. But if you put Bank for International Settlements in Google, you'll come up with it. And then just put in the Financial Stability Board. And you'll see there. You can read the press releases.
Is it a treaty?
That's an extremely good and important question. This agreement should have the status of a treaty, in my opinion, which means that the Senate needs to approve it, I think, by two-thirds majority. If not, one step down from a treaty is a congressional, I think it's an executive congressional agreement. Congress should approve that. But the president went and signed this thing and is just on his merry way. And I will tell you something, because I've spoken to members of Congress, they don't have a clue. So it's a commitment. It's a commitment of the United States to this rechanneling of our fiscal autonomy to the Bank for International Settlements in Switzerland, a rechanneling of this. And Congress is like, they don't have a clue. They have no idea this has occurred.
There was a lot of publicity about the IMF, many people at the G20 looking at the IMF to be the overseer of the global economy.
Yes.
And possibly in the short term using special drawing rights, SDRs, which I had a talk with Jim Rogers about that. I was under the impression that the special drawing rights were an instrument from the International Monetary Fund. Apparently they're not.
Well, yes, they are. Yeah, they are.
Were they created from them?
No, they weren't. The international. This is there's a lot of data to respond to the things you say, because you touched on 4 or 5 points, which I want to get to. But let me take the last first. SDR stands for Special Drawing Rights, and that is a synthetic currency issued by the International Monetary Fund. And I am here to tell you, and you mark my words, that this is the international currency that's being pushed to replace the United States dollar.
Right. They actually assert on their website that it represents a basket of different currencies, like 3 or 4 currencies. But that is so confusing.
Yeah,
how do you determine the value of anything?
Zero, I think. I'm sorry?
How do you determine the value of anything if it's a mix of all these currencies and over the currency market? I mean, it's like dealing with a thermometer. It's mercurial.
Well, that's true. It is mercurial. And the IMF is pushing the SDR as we speak to replace the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency. Going back to the point that you made earlier, what needs to occur is that there needs to be oversight and checks and balances over these guys in Basel, Switzerland, that are not international bankers. There needs to be a Republican form of oversight. And I don't mean that as a partisan word. I mean like we have a Republican form of government, meaning we elect people and they represent us. And each country should have somebody, some little body needs to be there to have checks and balances over these international bankers, because the meetings by the board of directors at Basel, at the Bank for International Settlements, are entirely secret, Kim. They're secret. And governments need to have representation over this body, and they need to control it, and they can't be having secret edicts issued out of some bank in Switzerland that nobody can get into or see anything about. It's worse than the Fed. So, and then the final point is, I think I mentioned in the book, I'm not sure that's what you were looking at, but most people think that the SDR was created by the International Monetary Fund, but a recently leaked, or I don't think it was leaked, it was FOIA'd, Freedom of Information Act, document from the CIA makes it clear that the CIA created SDRs in 1969. And that currency, while it's kind of been with the International Monetary Fund for 4 decades, is just now, it's almost like a sleeper agent coming to the fore.
What do you mean the CIA created it? Like invented it? Was the architect for it? Wrote about it? Studied it? What do you mean? I don't understand. And I don't know that audiences would understand. I just want to have a basic understanding. Meaning, if the CIA created it,
I'll make mention of the fact that the memo, the actual CIA memo, is quoted right in the book.
Okay, great. All right, that's fine. That's fine. That'll be fine. So it's in the book, and if people want to know, that information is available.
Okay.
What is your life like now? What are you trying to accomplish now?
I'm writing a lot. I'm trying to get the message out. Get this book and the message of this book out and around, so that people, one, understand that the fiscal autonomy of this country has been co-opted, and that there are solutions to it. It's not an easy task, but it needs to be done, because I don't think my life or that of my kids or my grandkids should be run by a secret bunch of bankers in Basel, Switzerland. And I repeat, and I don't like to sound Stephen King-ish, but that's exactly what's going on now. This is not a science fiction novel. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is Planet Earth 2010.
It's really shocking. Everywhere you turn. I had invited Dr. Betty Sue Flowers on in a few weeks to talk about financial scenarios, actually creating and expanding financial scenarios on a visioning level for the actual people that are running things, not just our own financial scenarios for us to expand our vision, but something that would include expanding the vision of what people are already doing and what agencies are already in control. Because I think that we're talking about another organism of consciousness and transparency and opportunity. And when you've been used to doing business a certain way, it's like that consciousness has a life of its own. And then it's difficult to deal with because it's expansive. It's huge.
Yeah,
and it's like asking the identity of a consciousness that has mass to be willing to dissolve itself. So it won't be willing to dissolve itself unless it sees some other more exciting, incredible potential. And this challenges, as you know, it challenges our beliefs and our thoughts and our paradigms and cosmologies about good and evil and right and wrong and leadership and stewardship and what it all is. But I think that you've put together such a beautiful and difficult synthesis of understanding that it's well worth the read to have an understanding that it wasn't just subprime mortgages, it wasn't just the stocks, it wasn't just this or that, it wasn't one person, it isn't just the Fed. It's a global matrix, it's a global agenda that has been in the works for many, many years. It just happens to be that it manifested at this time.
Well, I thank you very much for the kind words. I remind your listeners it's available at behindthewizardscurtain.com and as an ebook, and they can download it. And I hope the folks that read it and take action. There are some calls for action in the book, so it's not just complaining about something.
No, I like that, and I liked it. So you also advise people and help people transition their monetary capability into safe jurisdictions and safe investments.
Yes, I do some of that on a case by case basis. I have some clients that I do that with. So yeah, I'm not I'm not in an office 9 to 5 doing that, but I have a handful of clients that I work with, and on that level, yes.
And you're still doing the movie on this? There's a documentary coming?
We've got the company structured, and we put a LLC together, and there's a script, and we're raising money for it.
Fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking with Bruce Wiseman. He is the author of Crisis by Design, and you can find out about it and order it at crisisbydesign.com.
Kim, pardon the interruption. Crisisbydesign.com is actually the site where the movie is. The book is available at behindthewizardscurtain.com.
I stand happily corrected, and you now have the correct information, ladies and gentlemen. And Bruce, I really want to thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
It's rainmaking time, Bruce.